Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. Today we're plunging into a book our source material calls a personal finance classic. That's Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and we're basing this on a really concise, insightful review we found.
Exactly. And our goal here is, to pull out the key ideas, the real nuggets of knowledge from this review. We'll focus on the core philosophies and, importantly, the mindset shifts the book talks about for building wealth and achieving financial independence.
Financial independence, right? That point where your assets cover your costs.
Okay.
But let's get into it. The whole book is built around this comparison Kiyosaki makes between his poor dad, his actual father, and his rich dad, who was his friend's dad. How different were their views? What really set them apart?
Well, it's pretty stark. His biological dad, the poor dad, really pushed the traditional path. Good grades, secure job, climb the ladder. You know the drill. But the rich dad, he taught Kiyosaki something else entirely. He focused on financial literacy, owning things that make money, assets.
Ah, okay. And that connects to the first big takeaway, doesn't it? The importance of financial education.
Absolutely. Kiyosaki makes a strong point that schools teach you how to be a good employee, academic stuff, professional skills, but not how money actually works. He argues you need to learn about, well, things like basic accounting, just enough to read the numbers investing, how markets function, even a bit about law to protect yourself. It's about building this financial toolkit that you just don't get in regular school.
Yeah, that makes sense. And from that, we get probably the most famous idea from the book, distinguishing between assets versus liabilities.
Mm.
He has that famous line, the rich buy assets, the poor and middle class buy liabilities they think are assets.
Mm.
What does that actually mean in practice? How should someone, maybe just starting out, think about this?
It boils down to something pretty simple, actually. An asset basically puts money into your pocket. A liability takes money out. Think about, say, a fancy new car. Often that's a liability, right? Monthly payments, insurance, fuel, repairs. It's a constant drain. An asset, though, might be like a rental property bringing in rent each month, or stocks paying dividends. It generates income for you. Kiyosaki really pushes you to look beyond the surface. Does this thing make you money or cost you money?
That's such a clear distinction. And it leads right into another key idea, work to learn, not to earn.
Mm.
Most people are focused on getting the biggest paycheck possible. How does Kiyosaki challenge that?
He suggests you shift your focus entirely. Instead of just chasing salary, prioritize jobs or opportunities where you can acquire valuable skills. Skills like sales, marketing, negotiation, communication, investing, things that empower you. Because those skills allow you to potentially create your own income streams later on, rather than just being dependent on one employer for a paycheck. It's about building your capability.
Right, becoming more versatile. And all this really points towards the final big theme, which is this fundamental mindset shift.
Mm.
Moving away from that safe, secure, maybe risk-averse employee mindset feels, well, scary for a lot of people. What's the shift he's advocating?
He's really pushing for an entrepreneurial mindset, thinking like an owner, like an investor, actively looking for opportunities. It's not about avoiding risk altogether that's impossible, but learning how to manage risk. It's about seeing possibilities to build or buy assets, not just settling for trading your time for wages.
Okay, so we've covered the core ideas. But for balance, the review we looked at mentioned both pros and cons. What did it highlight?
Good point. On the plus side, the book is praised for being really easy to grasp, great for beginners in personal finance. It definitely makes you question traditional beliefs about money and work, which is valuable, and it's got a very motivational sort of can-do tone. But on the other hand, critics do point out that it's pretty light on specific actionable investment advice, like how exactly do you do it. It can also oversimplify some really complex financial topics, and some of the advice might feel a bit theoretical, maybe not practical for everyone's situation.
So wrapping it up, what's the final verdict from our source? What should someone take away from Rich Dad, Poor Dad?
The review concludes that it's primarily a mindset book, a motivational book. It's not a step-by-step financial plan. It's designed to open your eyes, get you thinking differently about money, work, and assets. It aims to spark your interest in financial literacy.
So a great starting point maybe to change your perspective.
Exactly. The real value isn't in detailed investment strategies, but in that fundamental shift in how you perceive money and building wealth. It's about seeing the world through a different financial lens.
Okay, so here's something for you, the listener, to think about. Reflecting on all this, what assets do you already possess? And I don't just mean financial ones. Think about your knowledge, your skills, maybe even your network. What could you cultivate right now that contributes to your growth and ultimately your financial independence? Echoing that core idea, work to learn.